You know, over the past few months, we've had a pretty good run in the 360 camera world. I mean, we've had the release of the GoPro Max with a couple of easy modes to use, the Kandao Qoocam 8K, the Insta360 One R, which is actually 3 different styles of camera, and now we also have the Labpano Pilot One imminent. It's been a busy time. And although you can argue that these are all targeting very different markets, I think that whatever market you're looking at, the 360 camera world is entering a period of consolidation. You'll notice that much of this innovation in development has originated out of China. And I think that this is why for the next few months, or at least until the end of 2020, we are entering a period of marketing, sales, and efficiency drives from these companies rather than developing new products. Keep watching to find out why I've come to this conclusion. Hi, my name's Saab Johal and thank you for joining me on my channel showcasing light and easy mobile video making and gear. If you enjoy this video and get some value out of it, please give it a like, drop me a comment and consider subscribing. Cheers. So, the big issue here that will focus the minds of Chinese companies and indeed companies around the world affected by this is the novel coronavirus now known as COVID-19. We already know that China is grappling with this massive issue with unprecedented steps to try to control the spread of the virus through enforced closure of factories and businesses and limitation of movement of goods and people. Now, my view is that whatever you think of the Chinese system of government and how open they have or haven't been with whatever has been going on in terms of number of cases and deaths, the action they've taken is completely new. No country has attempted to control the spread of a virus like this. And I think that this is a significant contribution to protecting the health not only of their citizens, but of the global community. Whatever you think about that, it remains a challenge not just for China, but for all companies around the world who rely on components or parts made and or assembled in China. And with China dominant as the workshop of the world, it's likely to have a significant impact. Now, some economic experts say that what happens in situations like this is that economic demand tends to get pent up for a while, and then there's a catch-up period, so that in the short run we may see some peaks and troughs in economic activity, but it tends to smooth out over the long run. Now that may be true, but let's take a moment to imagine what happens in terms of the 360 camera world. Now, all these companies have invested a lot of time, expertise and money in developing this set of cameras released over the last few months, be that through hardware development and production or on the software side of things. Either way, there's a lot of sunk cost that needs to be recouped somehow. And we're now over the holiday period where a lot of buying takes place, and the buying period for the holiday period in China is also now over. And I imagine demand was pretty slow given what's been happening over there. If you wanted to go out and buy something, you couldn't because A, you weren't allowed out in some parts of China, and B, even if you did get out, most of the shops and businesses were still closed. So we have a situation where research and development costs have already been sunk into cameras that we most likely already know about. The companies that have produced these cameras need to get some revenue from these products, which is why I think that we're going to see a lot of resources switched from R&D activities over to marketing, sales, and trying to make their operations leaner, slicker, and more efficient, delivering a good customer experience. Well, that's my hope for the last point, but even that may start to fall away if things are really tight in these companies. And you have to remember that outfits like Insta360 and Kandao are not big multinationals like Canon or Nikon. They are pretty small outfits and they need to sell products to keep going. So expect the emphasis to be on selling their most recent product until at least October 2020. But there's another angle on this too, and that's production capacity. With so many factories closed right now, it's really affecting how companies are able to keep up their production with anticipated demand. The last thing you want is no inventory to meet your customers' orders. And that's why even marketing will have to be carefully structured right now, meaning that you may not even hear so much from these companies. And more generally, ad revenue will probably take a hit for small YouTubers like me. Not that I get much anyway at the moment, I'm so small. And if you're waiting for the new iPhone SE replacement that's rumoured to be announced in March, I wouldn't be holding my breath. I think production capacity concerns means that even if it is announced, I don't think it will be available until much later this year, say October 2020 again. That's my little prediction for you. Okay, so that's one way of looking at this. Now let me apply my knowledge as a psychologist to tell you why, even if they carried on with the research, innovation and development in these companies right now, the conditions are not optimal for them to be coming up with great results. The number one creativity killer is stress. And one of the number one producers of stress is fear. Fear of the consequences of catching the virus for you or your loved ones is one aspect of this. But another is fear of the consequences that this could have for your company. Demand, supply chain, sales, for example. And that can drill down further to fear of whether you're going to keep your job or not and be able to support yourself. When times are good, we're protected from this fear and the stress it generates, which then enables the best conditions for creativity and innovation to flourish. But when we're feeling pressured and fearful, then this is the time when creativity is crushed. Wise companies know this and switch their activities to more pragmatic processes designed to reap the benefits from the design and innovation that they've already worked on, rather than investing in trying to develop new products when the conditions are just not right in so many different ways. And this is why so many leading companies with reputations for innovation focus so much on employee well-being. Lots and lots of studies find that being happy leads to higher performance on creative tasks than either when you're stressed or even if you're just feeling neutral. One study with college students even found that sadness inhibits new ideas. This may be because when people are sad, they're much more wary of making mistakes and exercise more restraint. They don't want to expose themselves in case their new ideas have made an error, or the environment that they're working in is going through a tight period where mistakes might prove to be costly in many different ways. This is a surefire way to stamp down on creativity and innovation. My recommendation to the executives and managers that will eventually emerge out of this period being hunkered down and trying to survive what's going on right now is really pay attention to employee well-being as well as your bottom line. It will really help when you need to start being creative again. And for us consumers, let's perhaps keep our expectations in check so that we don't get disappointed over the next 8 to 9 months or so. Of course, I could be completely wrong and there might be a super pleasant surprise around the corner. And for any company that can manage that, I reckon you've got the chance to really become a leader in this field of 360 cameras. Just make sure you deliver on any promises you make. There's nothing worse than over-promising and under-delivering. Hey, what do you think? I'd love to read your comments and talk about this in the comments below. Hey, thanks for watching. Remember to like this video if you liked it and subscribe for more videos and click notifications so you know when I've posted more. Until then, cheers and go well.